Wonder Woman 1984 was released in 2020 and was directed by Patty Jenkins. It tells the story of Diana, who must contend with a work colleague and a businessman whose desire for extreme wealth sends world down a path of destruction after an ancient artifact that grants wishes goes missing. The first Wonder Woman, now it has been quite a while since I've seen it, was a film I actually thought was excellent. I actually really liked the original Wonder Woman, and I thought it was overall a very good movie. The second film, I was actually requested by Lambo Rock Strikes Back to review this movie, and I was genuinely very curious to see it for myself. I had heard very mixed things about it. Some liked it, but some didn't. Where do I come in? Sadly, I'm going to have to say that I personally found this movie to be a shocking disappointment. God, this film was a real letdown. The biggest letdown about the movie is the story. The storyline was incredibly bland. The story it wasn't interesting. It wasn't interesting, and it felt so boring. That was the main complaint I had with this movie. It was so boring. I was bored throughout it. I was really bored. Not once did I felt invested or engaged, and the story didn't do it for me. It really didn't do it for me, and it shocked me at how boring it was. Even through the first two acts, I was just like, oh god, this is getting so boring. And the movie just drags and drags and drags. It also doesn't help that it's very forgettable and not very interesting to me at all either. It's not a very interesting story. I think the story really kills the movie. It really kills it entirely, in my opinion. Some aspects I will get to that are decent in my eyes, I will get to in a moment, but the main aspect why I don't like this movie is simply the story. It's too slow. It's too slow. It is way too long. Way too long in my eyes. 2 hours and 30 minutes was just way too long for me. The first film was like, what, 2 hours? 2 hours and 10 minutes? I can't remember because it has been quite a while since I watched it, and I probably should have rewatched it. You know what, I probably will rewatch it eventually. But the first one's pacing was pretty decent from what I remember. This one was just so slow and dragged out, and nothing really happened in the movie until the third act. While there is some decent action in the third act, but you have to wait so damn long to get to that decent action. Just God, the story, oh, it was a letdown. It really, oh my god, I was bored. There are, of course, a few positives with the movie. The acting is once again excellent. I do think everyone does the roles very well. The visuals are really good. The beginning of the movie looked so vibrant and colourful to me, and I was really loving the visual art style of it. And the special effects were once again absolutely excellent in my eyes. I think it's a very good, visually looking movie. Not the story, but the visuals are pretty decent. Now on to the characters. I really liked the characters in the first one. It's not to say they're that bad in this one, but since the story, in my opinion, isn't that interesting, it kind of kills the characters for me. What I mean by that is that I didn't care for them in this one. I didn't care for them, and I wasn't rooting for the characters throughout the movie. Our heroes were just, to me, I didn't care because the story really made me not care what was going on, and that's a fail in my book, because if you have good characters from the original movie and in the sequel, you'd expect your characters to be, somewhat entertaining, but the story just really lets the whole thing down for me. And the characters, again, like I said, I didn't care. I couldn't attach to them like I did with the first one. And the villain was incredibly forgettable. Incredibly bland and one-dimensional. She was nothing in my opinion. The villain was just awful in my eyes. And the music is fine. It's not anything terrible, but it's just kind of eh. And when I finished the film, I was just, wow, what a disappointment. Overall, Wonder Woman 1984 is a shocking disappointment in my opinion, with a really bland story that really kills the movie entirely for me. It has some decent visuals, but that's the only positive I can really think of. I'm going to give Wonder Woman 1984 a 5 out of 10. So, that's Wonder Woman 1984 done. Unfortunately, you can't please everyone, so yeah, if you guys love the movie, that's great. I'm really glad there is people that do like it, but I wanted to get some enjoyment out of it, because I did like the first one, so I was hoping it would be at least, a pretty good film, but just shocked. I'm actually shocked at how disappointing it was. However, my next review is going to be on Zack Snyder's Justice League. I am very, very intrigued about the Snyder Cut. A lot of people have been really praising it and hyping it up, and it's made me genuinely very intrigued to see it for myself. It's going to be 4 hours, so it's going to be quite long, but it's a film I genuinely am very curious about. Mainly because I am, as far as Zack Snyder goes, I'm a big Legend of the Guardians fan, so I'm genuinely pretty curious to see how Zack Snyder does with being 4-hour movie. Like, I want to see what his direction is like in a film that's longer than 2 hours. I want to see where that goes. But stay tuned for that, and until then, guys, skadoosh and take care.